Halala South Africa, halala. Halala South Africa, halala. Halala our President Jacob Zuma, halala. Aridu them fast. The Premier of Limpopo, Mr. Stanley Matabata, the Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Natim Tetwa, Deputy Ministers who are here, MECs who are here, MMCs who are here, ambassadors, high commissioners, executive mayor of Capricorn District, mayor of Murimule, traditional leaders, religious leaders, leaders of various political parties, especially the secretary of the ruling party in the province and the deputy chairperson of the ruling party in the province, esteemed guests, fellow South Africans, Dumelang, Nimasiari, Inhlekani, Sanbonani, Molweni, Goeiedag. It's a real pleasure to be here amongst you all. Almost 2 centuries ago, on this day in 1828, our country and the continent lost the legendary King Shaka Zulu at the hands of his brothers. One of the enduring traditions that King Shaka bequeathed to his people was a culture of meritocracy. What endeared the king to his people was his sense of fairness and justice. It was during his reign that even commoners could become izinduna or generals if their bravery and skill in warfare came to his attention. The heroic legacy of our kings and queens in defense of our dignity must continue to inspire our generation to work for the greater good of our nation. Heritage Day reminds us that we are descendants of heroes and heroines. Re ditlogolo tsa dikgosi tse kgolo, dikgosi tse ne di etapele setšhaba sa rena, dikgosi tse tshwanang le bo Sekhukhune, dikgosi tse tshwanang le bo Mampuru, dikgosi tse tshwanang le bo Hintsa, bo Ngungunyane, bo Makhado, bo Qetshwayo, bo Mojaji, bo Makwena, bo Matlala, bo Moshweshwe, bo Dingane, dikgosi tse dintsi tse ne di busa lefatshe le la rena ka mokanaro a lona. Re ditlogolo tsa bona ke bona ba ne ba tshwere melao ene re shoma ka yona re phela ka yona. They were our leaders, and they made sure that we carried forward our heritage. They made sure that we preserved our languages. They made sure that we preserve our song and dance. What we were witnessing here were performances that our heroes, our forebears, all the kings and the queens of our entire nation preserved for us. They wanted us to inherit this. They wanted us to inherit the song, the dance, and everything that we have come to appropriate as ours. On Heritage Day, we recall that the contours of our nation bear the wounds and the scars of migration and slavery. When we trace the footprints of someone like Sheikh Yusuf, who came from the Far East, we celebrate his defiance, his bravery, and his faith. In Islam, he found his solitude and fortitude. In resisting oppression, he found his purpose. On this day, we recall the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi and the contribution that he made to the theory and practice of defiance in South Africa. We remember those white compatriots who defied law in defense of justice, people like Father Trevor Huddleston, Helen Joseph, Bram Fisher, Ray Alexandra, Joe Slovo, Ruth First, and many others. When we recall the pain and suffering of Afrikaner women and children and of many African families in concentration camps at the turn of the century, we say their pain is our pain and their loss is our collective loss. We do not deny the contradictions of our past. We are the children of settlers and the children of natives of this land. We are the children of oppressors and the children of the oppressed. But we are united today by our rejection of our past and the injustices that defined that past, and by our determination that never again shall one be oppressed by another. Like the late Nat Nakasa said, "My people are South Africans. Mine is the history of the Great Trek, Gandhi's passive resistance in Johannesburg, the wars of Cetshwayo, and the dawn raids which gave us the treason trials of 1956. All these are South African things," he said. "They are a part of me. We are all African." And it was wonderful today to hear young children singing the African anthem. It is an anthem that all of us must now learn. We must learn that anthem because that anthem talks about our being. It talks about who we are. It relates where we come from. It also talks about the struggles that we all engaged in to get to where we are. And it also talks about the origins of humanity, that our continent is the origin of humanity, and it is on this continent that the cultures that are practiced around the world were originated. We see ourselves reflected in the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Timbuktu. We rejoice in our affinity with Mapungubwe and the great Zimbabwe. Fellow South Africans, we are gathered here today to celebrate indigenous knowledge, to identify, to promote, and preserve South Africa's living heritage. This is part of our effort to revive and sustain ways of living which in the past were undermined, were excluded, and were purposely and actively marginalized. Living heritage can help promote a positive African identity in a globalizing world. Understanding and embracing our indigenous cultural traditions can foster social cohesion, national unity, and pride. What we saw today being clearly exhibited through an initiative that was started by a young doctor is exactly what we mean. This is what is meant to promote our social cohesion, to bind us together. What we saw earlier, the diversity that was at play when the Tsonga women were dancing here, and we had a white woman dressed in Tsonga regalia dancing with them, is precisely what we want to see happening in our country. We are called upon as a nation that's in the making to embrace each other's cultures, to practice each other's cultures, to learn each other's languages, to understand each other's languages so that we can speak them, to increase the cohesion that we are trying to build, to increase the cooperation, the collaboration amongst all of us. Yes, when you are Zulu, you must learn to dance like the vendors. Yes, when you are Pedi, you must learn to dance like the Xhosas. Yes, when you are Afrikaans, you must learn to dance like the Ndebele. Yes, when you are Swati, you must learn to dance like the Shangans, because we are all one people. We need to practice each other's cultures so that we can display the rich diversity that we have as South Africans. We have a rich diversity, we have rich cultures. Let us all unite, combine, and practice them, and display to the world that we are indeed one cohesive nation. This is an opportunity to affirm and celebrate the knowledge, the skills, the belief systems, the rituals, the stories, the legends, the music, the dance, the arts, the crafts, the food and the drinks of our people. Just as we applaud the discovery of Homo naledi at the cradle of humankind, we must both explore what those fossils tell us about the origins of mankind and celebrate the traditional stories used to explain creation, life, and death. Just as we build the largest telescope in the world, here in South Africa, we must identify living human treasures who still possess the African knowledge of astronomy. As African societies, used their knowledge of night sky to navigate, to keep time and to inform cultural practices, we must also advance to higher levels. The appearance of the Pleiades or the Isilimela in Nguni signal the time of plowing. Indigenous knowledge is not a relic of the past. Indigenous knowledge is the knowledge of our people, is the intelligence of our people. It is the knowledge system of our origins. It is a vital part of our present and our future. The San and the Khoi people used a plant called Hodia Gordoni for centuries to control hunger when they went on long hunts in the Kalahari Desert. Not long ago, scientists discovered that this plant has what is called appetite-depressing properties. In partnership with the San community, this plant is now patented for weight loss medication. Bao ba batlang ho lose weight ba na leng mafuranyana ba kgona ho shumisa setlhare se tswang Kalahari se ne se shumiswa ke basane le bakoi ba ne ba senwa ha ba ilo tsoma ba tsamaya matsatsi a mantši. So setlhare seo mamotha di scientists ba se shebile ba re setlhare se tla thusa batho ba gompieno gore ba lose weight ba fokotse mafura a mo mmeleng wa bona. So ntho tseo kaofela di tlhaga kae? Di tlhaga ko morago kwa. These are gifts that we've been given by our forebears. And today, the world is using this tree that was found in the Kalahari, that was being used by the San people to depress appetite and hunger. And today it is being used for weight loss. How about to lose a mafura mmele wa gago? Ba tla setlhare se ba tla go fa sona. Rooibos tee re enwago, which has become a global brand, is a traditional beverage of the Khoi people. They used to drink rooibos hundreds and thousands of years ago. Here in Limpopo, the marula fruit is both a source of food and medicine. The oil is used as a balm to treat ear and nose and throat conditions, while the essence, the fragrance from the leaves provides relief from burns and spider bites. Gona mo e tswang gona mo Limpopo e a shumisiwa. Re bontsha gore tsebo ya batho ba le ba kgale re a kgona e shumisa mamota, re a kgona go alafa malwetsi. Ha o lomilwe ke spider, setlhare se sa marula se ka kgona gore se go alafe. Setlhare se ne re se sheba fela re nagana gore ke setlhare fela, se a shumisiwa. It is because of our indigenous knowledge. Tsebo ya batho ba kgale, that is part of our heritage. Ke ntho tse re di hwetšang tse tswang morago kwa, tse re filweng tsona ke bao ba leng ba re etapele ka mengwaga e mentši e fetileng. Today we celebrate the role of our traditional healers. Izinyanga, dingaka, disangoma, they play a key role in the well-being of our nation. Government has established the Traditional Healers Council. This is a national body that recognizes the status of traditional healers, and develops norms and standards for the profession. Fellow South Africans, we have a lot of skilled crafters, people who make pots with clay, and sculptors who are able to shape things from trees within our communities. There is a big market for these products locally and internationally. Hona mo Limpopo mo, go ne batho ba bantši ba kgonang go etsa arts and craft, ba šomang ka go betla ditlhare, ba etse dintho tse botse tse bonagalang. Bangwe ba bo ba Vahangeni Venda ba kona go bada zwithu zwavhuḓi zwine zwa sedzea, zwi rengiswa fhano zwa dovha zwa rengiswa na ngei seli. Van'wani va huma kole a Giyani va swi tiva swinene, va swi kota ku ri va endla swilo swo saseka swinene. Vanhu bona valavo va fanele ku ri hi va pfuna ku ri va ya mahlweni hi mintirho ya vona leyo saseka swinene. To access this market, traditional crafters and weavers and potters and other artists need to be given the help. And I am proud to say the Ministry of Arts and Culture is at work, is busy at work repositioning the arts and the culture of our country in the most spectacular way. Arishapele Minister Warina Matoko, Minister Natim Ted. Arts and culture Yarina mo South Africa seti itlatlogela ko godimo. The indigenous knowledge system of our country is about to take off in a big way. And we are very pleased that we've got leadership that is stewarding this whole process throughout the country. Soon we are going to see a big representation of our origins, of our cultures. We are soon going to be seeing how we promote our languages, how we promote everything, including our food. This is a serious project that has been taken on by the Ministry of Arts and Culture. Batho ba bantši ba dulang metseng ba kgona le go aga, ba aga dintlo, ba kgona go aga ka bjang, ba kgona go aga ka mmu, ba kgona go foroma ditina ka mmu, ba kgona go aga dintlo tse botse. And ra tseba ge ka mokana rena batho ba rena ba tswang kwa Ndebele kwa ba kgona le go painta dintlo tsa bona ka mmala e botse, colorful buildings that our people from Ndebele are able to do. And that is what we want to promote. This building method is used to construct lapas, upmarket houses and lodges. However, the men and women who have these valuable skills are not registered as artisans or master builders by home builders associations and engineering bodies. This is an opportunity for the industry to begin a process of registering indigenous building methods as an officially recognized trade. Re re batho ba we ba agang dintlo tsela tsa kgale ba kgonang go painta dintlo tseo di be botse le bona ba kgona go fiwa di-certificate, ba kgona go fiwa mangolo le dipampiri gore ba bonagale gore ba tseba mmereko wa bona. Most of us gathered here today grew up eating traditional food ranging from bogobe, mopani worms, ba di bitsa mopani worms, re se bitsa mashonja nga Tshivenda. This indigenous food and drink is nutritious and inexpensive. Our parents grew up eating this, and they grew the vegetables, mirogo, zintwa, na zwithu zwinji zwa zwi tshi takadza. By planting and harvesting indigenous crops and vegetables, we can respond to the problem of poverty and hunger within our communities. Kamanzo mangriri, mirogo ele, ene ijiwa ke batho ba kgale, ene ibialwa ke batho ba kgale, a re itsoseng e tswelle pele, re boele morago re je tsona dijo tsele tse ne re di ja kgale, ka hobane le tsona ke cuisine, ka sekgowa ba re ke cuisine, ke dijo tse monate. Let us also begin the process of going back to that. Initiation schools have for generations been important parts of our culture. Here, young men and women are taught important skills to look after families, to adjudicate when there are problems, and to conduct themselves as respectable adults within society. Yet we are confronted by a new challenge. Young men who die during initiation and others who are maimed as a result of botched circumcisions. All initiation schools need to be sanctioned by community leaders and must meet health requirements. Those who want to oversee circumcision practice must be commissioned by the community before opening an initiation school. We can use initiation schools to teach young people about acceptable sexual behavior and the prevention of HIV transmission. They have a role to play in discouraging young people from following a life of crime, of violence, alcohol, and drug abuse. These must be the cultural schools that reaffirm positive social values. Ha ba baswa ba ya dikolong tseo, re tshwanetse hore dikolo tseo re di shomise e le dikolo tse tla ba rutang ntho tse botse ka tsela e botse ya go phela. These must become real cultural schools. We must transform those schools so that they become the centers of learning, learning of culture, learning of growing up as a young man, a young woman, so that in those types of schools of initiation, they should learn new values. Compatriots, it is said that when an old person dies, or when an old person passes away, we also bury a library. Senior citizens are living human treasures. We have a duty to ensure that their knowledge is collected and preserved for future generations. Let us provide the older people in our communities with opportunities in community centers and schools to tell us about our past, to relate great stories about our history, to impart these stories to young people. Each time I go to KZN, I enjoy listening to a story that is told by one old man who participated in the East Sandluana battle. He passed the story to his sons and grandchildren, and his sons are still alive, and they pass that story on to younger people. And it is wonderful listening to stories of great battles like the Battle of Isandlwana, when you hear them from people who heard them from their forebears. Let us continue telling the stories of our history, the stories of our leaders, the stories of our kings, the stories of our cultures, and everything else. Let us continue working together to identify, to preserve, and to promote indigenous knowledge systems and the living heritage of our people. As we celebrate Heritage Day, let us reflect on the words of the Preamble to the National Development Plan, where we say, South Africa belongs to all its people. We, the people, belong to one another. We live the rainbow. We value interdependence and reciprocity. We feel hospitable. We are a community of multiple overlapping identities. We are cosmopolitan in our nationhood. Our multiculturalism is a defining element of our individuality. We are because we are so many. Our manyness is our strength. We carry it in us throughout our lives. Once we uttered the dream of a rainbow. Now we see it. We are living it. It does not curve over the sky. It is refracted in each one of us at home, in the communities where we live, in the city, and across the land, in an abundance of color. When we see this rainbow, we see it in the faces of our children. When we see this rainbow, we know that there will always be for us a worthy future. It is this worthy future, compatriots, that we will find in celebrating our heritage, in celebrating our languages, in celebrating our history, in knowing each other's cultures, in practicing each other's cultures, in appreciating each other's cultures, in respecting each other's cultures. We will also find this rainbow by respecting one another, by treating each other with dignity, by not insulting one another. We will find this rainbow when young people respect their elders, when young people pay homage to their elders, when they do not insult their elders, when they respect them. We will also find this rainbow when older people respect young people, when they love them, when they honor them. We will also find it when men do not rape women. We will find this rainbow when men do not abuse the women of our country. We will find this rainbow that Nelson Mandela foresaw when we embrace one another, when we know that we are one people, when we know that we have a common destiny. We will find it. We know that we have a common heritage, that we are one. But even as we recognize that we are one, what we must never forget, that first and foremost, we are African. Then we are South African. And then we are the various different identities that we are as formed by our communities. That is what defines us. And today is a great day in our country. Not many countries celebrate National Heritage Day. Not many countries have it as a holiday. We are privileged that the diversity that we are, many languages, many cultures, we can all get together on this special day and celebrate our diversity, our unity, our oneness, our togetherness, our South Africanness. And I wish you a happy National Heritage Day. Ke a leboga.